Hello, everyone. Let's dive into the psychological development of giftedness and what being a gifted student entails. Today, we'll be focusing on three topics. The first being, what exactly is giftedness? What's a definition? What are the aspects? And what are the strengths and weaknesses of having this ability? Second, we are going to talk about stigmas and myths about gifted students, why they exist, and what resolutions we can do as a society and community to erase these mistaken ideas. Lastly, we'll be discussing the different types of motivations and why gifted students can struggle with motivation in the classroom, and how social support plays a role. After we discuss our topic, I will wrap up everything we discussed in this short video, and hopefully we all understand the idea of giftedness a little better than before. Alright, let's get started. The first question is, what is giftedness? Well, the funny thing is, there's no universal agreed upon definition. It's an arbitrary term with multiple components. Therefore, it's challenging to come up with one explanation. From what I believe, giftedness to me is an out-of-the-box thinker. Someone can solve, think, and see the world in different fashions than others their age. They perform higher on many domains than their peers when they are given the same opportunity. The aspects of giftedness are scoring above average than their peers, multifaceted, high functioning, more challenging, engaging activities, and many more. A lot of gifted students experience intensities and sensitivities in the classroom. These are called excitabilities in the school. Let's take a look at the intensities with some memes. It can range from an oversensitivity in psychomotor development to the intellectual, and finally to emotional. It is different for every student. This exemplifies how difficult it is to create a definition for giftedness. Gifted students experience both positive and negative facets. For positive, talented students tend to perform better in school. Educational attainment can lead to more positive lifestyle because they drive to continue to achieve, leading to college degrees or field-independent work. They are less likely to be delinquent and get to substance use or alcohol dependence. The negatives are that being too different can negatively affect their self-image, concept, and esteem. As you can see, giftedness is a broad concept, and educators and schools are still trying to understand it. Let's move on to our next topic of stigmas and resolutions we can combat giftedness myths. The first myth I would like to discuss is gifted students do just fine on their own. This is far from the truth. Talented students need guidance and others to challenge them to develop their strengths and weaknesses in education. If they don't have individuals to push them, they can get bored and frustrated quickly. This can lead to low achievement and lack of motivation. We will take a look at motivation in our next topic. The second myth is that gifted kids will be just fine in a regular classroom. Most school districts don't have a set criteria, therefore not a lot of teachers have the background knowledge on how to teach advanced students. So without teachers challenging them in school, they aren't given a chance to thrive. That's why gifted students do better in a classroom with other students of the like. They can collaborate and challenge each other. This freelance of thoughts with gifted students creates a better environment than a regular classroom would. The final myth I would like to discuss is that all children are gifted. All children are special and unique, but that does not mean all children are gifted. This label means that a child is way beyond their years that constitute the knowledge they should know at their age. Parents sometimes have a difficulty accepting that other children have more capabilities than their children. Let's say you're an educator and a parent comes up to you asking to move their child up a grade because the coursework is too easy for them. But you look at your notes and grades and the child is not showing good enough scores for the next grade level. And they say to you, well, Susie just moved up a grade. I don't see why my child can't do the same. You will have to tell the parents that Susie's circumstances are a lot different than their child's. Explain to them that their daughter is right where she needs to be to succeed. If you think about real-life examples of these stigmas, it can be an excellent way to explain them to individuals who don't understand giftedness. Many of us listening to this video want to do something with education. Understanding how to talk to students, parents, and other educators is an integral part of the job. Lastly, our final topic is motivation for gifted students. As I'm sure you know, there are two different types of motivation. First, intrinsic motivation stems from inside the person because they're merely interested in the subject, item, or activity. Extrinsic motivation is a motivation that comes from outside stimulation, such as a certificate or an award. These two types of motivations are seen through the school systems, but we would like students to be intrinsically motivated because learning is fun. How motivation is relayed in gifted students is by classroom atmosphere, external factors, and factors out of the student's control. For instance, talented students act out differently when they express boredom in the classroom. This comes from forms acting out like being the class clown, negative moods, tantrums, distracting other students, and many more ways. This is why it's crucial to keep gifted students interested in the curriculum and keep challenging them so they don't distract other students. This is why we talked about talented students doing better in classrooms with students that are more like them rather than a regular classroom. Many external factors can affect the daily motivation for a student. For instance, what goes on in the student's home is out of the educator's control. What is important is taking the student's behavior day by day and supporting them when they need it most. But other students can be quite a factor when it comes to motivation and learning. Social environment plays a significant role in what we do in our lives, and it's no different for gifted students. If they see others slacking around, they might do it too to feel like they fit in. We talked about earlier that talented students feel that they are too different from their peers, so it's hard to relate to them. Therefore, they might use social learning and mimic what other students are doing around them, which can either be a positive or negative effect on their motivation. Lastly, school districts, educators, staff, parents, and students need to be involved in an educational plan that fits best for that student's needs. Like we said before, giftedness is not something that every teacher knows about. Therefore, having the parent involved creates a better situation for the student to succeed. The parents can provide information that teachers does not know about the student and vice versa. Once there is an agreed upon plan, the student will be expected to succeed and keep that plan. This allows them to stay motivated, especially since their biggest influencers created this for him or her to reach their full potential. We were able to cover a lot of information in just a short amount of time. Let's reiterate some of our topic points. First, we covered the lengthy and arbitrary term of giftedness. We understand that giftedness has different aspects that are beyond receiving good grades. There is high functionality, excitabilities, requiring more challenging, engaging activities, and multifaceted individuals. This means that they tend to strive in more than one department in education and other life aspects. We understand that there are positives to being gifted, but unfortunately, there's some negative ones too. But as we break down this topic, it becomes clearer what giftedness is about, even though we don't have a universal set definition. Next, we discuss the myths of giftedness and how we can resolve these myths by educating gifted students and others. Gifted students need guidance from their teachers and others to help challenge them to develop their educational attainment. Gifted students sometimes need a different classroom environment to succeed, and that is okay. And lastly, not all students are gifted, but every student is unique and different and has something to provide for the classroom. After listening to this video presentation, I hope that you can recognize the myths and how you can spread the word about gifted students. Lastly, we reviewed the intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. It is vital to make sure that gifted students and peers are stimulated and challenged in the classroom, because peers play an essential role because it's human to want to fit in our society that we live in today. We now know the importance of group discussion between educators, parents, and other staff to provide an educational plan for gifted students and keep challenging them in their school and hold them accountable for their expectations. Thank you so much for listening in. Here's my final message to you. Gifted children can't reach their full potential without the help of others, but we as a society need to teach the others how to help them properly. It's essential to get rid of those stigmas that coincide with being gifted. It only makes situations worse for those individuals, and we should focus on understanding them rather than putting them down. Finally, every child needs to learn and grow because in the end, knowledge is power, and power runs our world. I want to end with a quote said by Frank Baum: "No thief, however skillful, can rob one of knowledge." And that is why knowledge is the best and safest treasure to acquire. Thanks for listening.